Baby, I do. What are you talking about? This isn't happening. No. Girl, I never said that. When did I say that?
Hey everybody, welcome back to Van Philosophy. We've got a weird topic.
A weird one.
This week. But thank you guys for joining us. What's up, Steve? What's up, Rachel? Aaron? Thank you guys for joining us here. But before we get into the topic of Carl Tanzler, not Tanzler.
It's probably Tanzler.
Tanzler,
y'all.
Tanzler.
Carl Tanzler, y'all.
I think we have an acoustic show coming up at the end of the month. Next month. It's next month.
Next month we have an acoustic show.
Yeah.
And we also have a full show, and I think we actually got like some sit-in gigs.
Yeah, we have a
well.
full show next month?
Yeah, for the grand opening.
Yeah, oh yeah. We're doing like a customer appreciation thing down at the store.
Yeah.
But what have you been up to this week, man?
Well, I think I said this last week, but I finally got the GT1000 like programmed the way I want to, where it doesn't feel awkward.
That happened weeks ago.
Well, the thing is like the last week was the show that I got to first test
you moved
it
the
out.
button. You moved the button.
Moved it around, and I was like, this is gonna feel so much better. And then I was a little nervous. I was like, well, I just changed it, and I hope it works. But it felt really good.
Yeah.
So I felt really good at the show. And also, it's funny. A buddy of mine, he's a writer. He writes books, and he has a book coming out next month. And he asked, he's kind of did some promo and kind of did almost like an audio book, but it wasn't any of the narration. It was just like some of the lines of the characters. So I actually got to voice one of the characters, and I have like a new respect for people that actually do that, because I was like, yeah, man, I record all the time. I'm totally able to do that, and I was like, oh, that sounds terrible. Let me do that again.
You know, like close to Kyle and I actually found out about that by reading his blog.
In the blog.
Yeah. He doesn't call his best friend and tell him anything these days.
Well, I figured you'd see it.
Right. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I've been working at the shop, hanging out. I've been trying to take a little bit of downtime, man, because I've been going really hard. We just released the video last week. Did the trailer. We did release the new trailer for the new cover video. It's on here on YouTube. And yeah, that. And pretty simple.
And that.
Yeah,
and
pretty
that.
simple. Yeah, looking forward to like maybe some vacation time at the beginning of April.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Maybe like Savannah or Asheville or somewhere.
Just kind of get out for a while.
Yeah.
You gotta do that every once.
Go
in
to
a while.
Mexico.
Mexico.
Yeah, maybe just for like a day.
Just for a day.
You ever gone to Mexico for a day?
I feel like living out here would be really hard. I feel like most of it's just gonna be like the plane ride.
Yeah.
And you go out and be like, hola.
Well,
and then you like
go
get back
out
on the
there.
plane and come back home.
You go out there, you see it, and then you're like, I'm out. What's up, Lisa? What's up, Rachel? Hope you guys are doing good out there. Thanks for joining us. But let's get into our topic, man, because this thing is crazy. You know, whenever I found out about this story and I heard about it, like I was like,
yeah. So today it's kind of like a story.
yeah.
More of a story than a topic.
And if you guys want to interact here, make sure you leave comments so we can get to them. If you have questions, any kind of input about what we're talking about, just leave it there in the comments for us.
So I do want to say this story is pretty creepy, and there's this really weird twist in the end. So make sure you stay tuned for the twist.
Stay tuned.
Okay, so in 1889, there was a 12-year-old boy named Carl Tanzler, and he lived in a town called Dresden, Germany. And so he went to bed one night and he had this dream, and the dream started out in this kind of like black abyss, you know, and we're like he's just kind of floating in nothingness, and he's, you know, looking around, doesn't see anything, but then behind him he hears these footsteps behind him, and he turns around and he sees this image of this woman, and this woman's name, and I gotta make sure I'm saying this right, was Anna Constantia von Brockdorf.
There we go. There's a picture of the lady.
Yes.
She's got a really defined chin there, if you notice. I think that shadow, that's not a neck beard, that's just definition.
Yeah, that's what is that called?
The
chiaroscuro, I think is what it is, like
Right.
that type of painting. So anyway, Anna was actually a real character that lived about 100 years before he had this dream, and she was kind of like a German noblewoman, so she had kind of her own story.
It was like a distant relative. Did we know if like it was actually a distant relative?
I don't know. Well,
but I know
in the dream, she came to him and said, "I'm actually a distant relative of yours.
Right.
You're actually like you come from this nobility line," and I don't know if it was true. I know like. Later on, he kind of like asked people to call him a count.
Yeah.
And it's probably because of this.
Right.
And it might have been true, but I kind of suspect it wasn't. I think
Right.
it was just kind of came from this dream. But anyway, so Anna says, you know, listen to me. We don't have a lot of time. I have a message that I need to give to you. And so, and you know, he's like, well, what's the message? So she points and to where she came from out of the abyss, and out of the abyss emerges this beautiful face. And to Carl, it was just the most beautiful face he'd ever seen. Of this woman.
Floating head.
Yeah, of this woman with black hair and light skin.
I just like to know, to comment too, is that they say it's a beautiful, beautiful face, but man, this image here,
Beauty is subjective, isn't it?
It is
Isn't
definitely
it subjective.
Yeah. And that's you guys let us know what you think, but man, okay, I'll just go with it.
But according
okay
to
on
Carl,
that.
this was the face that he saw.
Beautiful, it's gorgeous,
And to him, it
most-
was the most
the
beautiful.
most wonderful.
Now, granted, he's only 12 years old, so like, you know, how many people do you see?
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, if you're 12, yeah,
It's like it's those formative years too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're like, that's it. That's who she is.
Right.
The first woman I saw in a dream. She's the woman in my dreams.
right, sure. It's like
no.
whenever we were young, we're like, oh, Pamela Anderson, then we found out she had Hep C, and we're like, oh, never mind.
Yeah. But at first you're like, what's that? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know. Who cares? Oh, that's like High C. I like High C. That's cool.
So anyway, he said, Anna says to him, this woman that you see here floating is someone that is a real person that you're going to one day meet in real life. And this person is going to be the love of your life. You're going to fall in love. You're going to have a life together. And she said, but the thing that you have to remember is she is going to fall very fatally ill. And it is your job to save her.
Right.
And then, you know, the face kind of recedes back into the abyss, and Anna waves goodbye, and he wakes up. And, you know, normally with dreams, a lot of times, even when you have a weird dream, it'll stick with you for a little while, and then it'll kind of fade. Mm-hmm. But with Carl, is as the day went on, and the next day and the next day, everything that he remembered about the dream just became more and more vivid and real to him. And he kind of had like a little obsession with it, even when he was a kid. And the other thing is that he kept having this dream. He'd go maybe a week or so, and he'd have it again. And there Anna would be appearing to him, saying that I have this mission for you, and you need to be ready because you're going to meet this beautiful woman in real life any day now. So be on the lookout for her.
Right.
So
Steve here says, I always thought women that showed up in my bedroom were beautiful when I was 12.
yeah.
Makes sense.
So, you know, so he's, you know, not quite a teenager, but he spends most of his teenage years just waiting for this woman to appear, and he keeps having the dream. And he didn't have it every night, but it was just this reoccurring dream that he'd probably have every couple of weeks or every couple of months, and had it well into his adulthood. So this was like very much ingrained in his mind and kind of became a part of him, where he's like, yep, this is going to be my life's mission. So about 11 years go by, and
so now you're telling 20, like early 20s?
Yeah, he's early 20s. 11 years go by, yeah.
Okay.
And so he ends up meeting this woman named Doris. And it was very obvious to him that Doris was not this beautiful woman with black hair and light skin. This
Right.
was someone else. But she was kind of sweet on him, and he was kind of sweet on her. So they began dating and talking, and he was like, I don't know, I'm supposed to fall in love with this person in my dreams, but
He's like, but I'm just like this weird guy that's obsessed with these weird dreams. I just got to take what I can get.
Yeah. So and,
Right.
and you know, and of course he's probably like, it's probably just a dream. I had it when I was 11 years old.
Right.
You're 12 years old or whatever he was, and so he's like, I need to grow up. This probably isn't real. It's kind of crazy to think that this is actually a real thing. So he proposes to her and they get married. And for about 6 years in Germany, they have a relatively happy life together.
Germany.
Yeah, so, and they have 2 daughters. Their name were Aisha and Clarista. But he kind of always had it in the back of his mind that something isn't right. I don't know if this is the life I'm supposed to have. You know, he would have the dream every so often, even after he was married and after he had children, the dream would still come back.
Especially he was doing well. His whole life was this picture. He was just in a crowd his entire life with flags.
Well, this picture, I think you can actually see, I think there's probably some Nazi flags hiding in there. Because as you know, at that time, in the early 1900s, this was in 1926, a few years later, after he meets Doris, Germany starts going downhill.
Sure.
They start having, economic downturn, political downturn, kind of
making the way for the regime to come
for
through.
the Reich to come in and take over. So, and a lot of people, I know personally, my dad's side of the family was kind of in that boat of like, something is very, very, very wrong here and we need to leave Germany. So it was the same with Carl and Doris. They went, we need to get out of here. We need to find a new place to live. I don't think this is a good place to be.
Right.
So they decided that they would emigrate to the United States. So in 1926, that's exactly what they did. They emigrated to the United States and they settled in Central Florida. So they lived in Central Florida for, I think, about a year. And just the pressures of emigration, or I guess now it would be immigration, because they were immigrants now, not immigrants.
Of course they went to Florida.
Yeah. Like, what a place to pick, right?
Yeah.
And Carl keeps having this dream, and there's pressures, and he's got to find a job, and he's got this German accent, and so their relationship just kind of starts to fold underneath the pressure. So finally, Doris looks at Carl, and he's like, maybe you should just leave.
Right.
So he leaves, and I don't know if they actually got a legal divorce. I think they did end up getting a legal divorce, but he's like, I'm going to move. And he moves to a town a few hundred miles south called Key West. So he moves down to Key West, and he gets a job as an X-ray technician at one of the local hospitals.
Right.
And he kind of settles in and has this new life and kind of feels...
Now, was he licensed to do that sort of thing?
At the time, I don't know what licenses you need, and I don't know how it is now. I know usually you have to have training and go to school.
He just shows up from Germany, though, and he's like, I'm German. And he's like, give me a doctor
and they're
job.
like, we really like your cars.
Yeah.
So yeah, come on in. No,
Germans are doctors.
Yeah.
We know
well,
that.
he was not a doctor.
Right.
He was not a doctor. He
Right.
was an X-ray technician.
Technician.
And even now, if you meet an X-ray technician, they'll tell you, I'm not a doctor. I work in a hospital.
Right.
But I am trained to run these machines. I do not diagnose.
My real love is photography.
Yeah, very much.
And I got into this because this is
you're I don't want to say glorified photographer. That sounds terrible. X-ray technicians do very, very important work. But he was not a doctor. He's not qualified to diagnose or treat disease. So anyway, but it's a good job for him, and he falls in and starts having this, a routine of going there and settles in, and he's probably like the funny German guy or whatever it was, And about a year, or a little less than a year, there's this woman that comes into his office.
Let's see what that woman looks like.
Well, don't say it yet, because this isn't the woman that comes in.
Oh.
So it's this older woman that comes in. And this older woman comes in and she says, "Hi, I've made an appointment with the doctor. My 21-year-old daughter has this cough that won't go away, and we're kind of concerned about it because nothing conventional is treating it. So we thought we'd come in for an X-ray." And he goes, "Yeah, absolutely." So he looks at the file and begins sitting down and doing the paperwork with her, and it's very, very routine and mundane. But then, as they're doing the paperwork, this woman walks in, and so we actually have a picture of this woman.
This is my
Slow.
reenactment of her walking in.
She's walking in the door.
Look how gorgeous.
Yeah.
Just beautiful. Just
and
amazing.
Carl stops his paperwork, puts his paperwork down, and just stares at her.
I mean, she looks familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for like an awkward amount of time, and realizes that this is the woman that he has seen in his dreams, like that he's been dreaming for decades now, been dreaming about this woman. So he, stops and finally realizes that he's being a little awkward and has a job to do. So he, clears his throat and gets back to the paperwork. And he looks at the mother and he said, "Ma'am, I want you to know that I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that I save your daughter." And the older woman is like, goes, uh-huh.
Right.
It's just like, I just came in for a cough.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. And she thought it was really weird that he would use a phrase like that. Like, I'm going to save your daughter.
Sure.
But at the same time, you know how it is dealing with hospitals. And if someone's like, hey, like, I'm going to make sure this is okay.
Yeah.
I'm your guy.
Well, they have liability.
We're gonna make sure this is okay. So she was somewhat relieved that someone was like, okay, cool, like I'm going to handle this. But
it's like when you go to the doctor nowadays and they do like another test, like it's like, I don't really need this test.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is that they're liable, so they have to, and then they benefit from it because they get to charge you the money for it.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
So anyway, it was an awkward situation. It was an borderline disturbing situation to have someone be like, to kind of insinuate that your daughter is dying without even
she's had a
looking.
cough.
Looking
for an X-ray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was like, okay, all right. Well, she was grateful.
Yeah.
So then he hurries up and finishes up his paperwork. He puts it down and then he goes and approaches this woman, this young 21-year-old woman, and introduces himself, says, "Hi, my name's Carl, and I just want you to know that you're in good hands. I'm going to take care of everything. You don't need to worry about anything. I'm going to save you."
Yeah. So when you see like you're in good hands, was that Allstate?
Yeah. Are you in good hands?
Are you in good hands?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Maybe he asked her that. I don't know.
Possible. And he like lowered his voice too to like sound serious. Are you in good hands?
Elena's just kind of looking at him like, dude, this guy's a creep.
Yeah.
And but she's polite and says thank you, and okay, so he's like, all right, now I'm going to take you over to the X-ray machine. So he takes her and says, follow me, and takes her over there and gets an X-ray of her chest. And unfortunately, they found out that she had tuberculosis. And right now, and today, tuberculosis is a very, very treatable and curable disease. But back then, if you found out you had tuberculosis, it was a death sentence.
Right.
There really wasn't a good way of treating it. So they get the news and they're, it's an even more of a disturbing situation now, because now there's this creepy guy and you find out that you have this really horrible disease.
I think we have a picture of
I think we have an X-ray.
Yeah.
X-ray picture of tuberculosis.
Yeah.
And I'm not a doctor, I don't really know what any of this means, but we found this, and this is someone that unfortunately has tuberculosis. That you would be able to identify in an
X-ray. If you look, the lungs are just basically like obliterated. I mean, look at it, dude.
Yeah, you see, like, to me, I just kind of see like spots, and
it's like, oh cool, they see like the dark know. They got dark stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And that's probably what I would, like if I saw this and I was a doctor, I would diagnose them with a hard case of dark stuff.
Yeah, I'd be like, you got lungs.
Yeah, you got lungs, and there's a dark color in this X-ray. I'm not used to it.
To Carl's credit, Carl was an X-ray technician. He'd probably seen it a lot before.
Looks intense though.
And obviously the doctors then came in and gave her an official diagnosis of tuberculosis.
Right.
So while the family was, disturbed by the information, obviously Carl secretly was kind of happy, because this meant that she was the woman of his dreams. Because not only did she look just like that face that appeared in his dreams over and over and over again in his life, now she has fallen deathly ill, and it is his job to save her So he's like, finally, I can fulfill my life's mission, and we're going to fall in love, and we're going to have this family, and all of those regrets I had of marrying the wrong person and having a family with the wrong person is now now it's going to be okay. So Carl, and again, he's just an X-ray technician. He's not qualified to treat or diagnose, tuberculosis or anything.
Yeah, certified German.
So he, over the next year, kept up and called the family like almost on a daily basis. He became very, very obsessed with this woman.
Yeah.
And he was saying, I've been researching all these new techniques and these new medicines for you to try. And a lot of times he would pay out of pocket so that Elena could go try this new treatment or this new drug that came out at the time.
Right.
So he was very, 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 very involved. And
what is he operating there? What is that?
I believe that is one of the X-ray machines.
Okay, so they put you in that thing and then shot you full of like radioactive stuff.
Mm-hmm. And
so if you weren't sick already, and you're just coming in to make sure that you're check me out, see if I'm sick. You lay in one of these, and then by the end of it, you'll have radiation.
They still do X-rays today, and there is some inherent risk.
Yeah.
Because they are using radiation, and the doctors will tell you that.
Especially if you lay in like an X-ray bed like that. I feel like that's.
But normally,
not a great idea.
Normally, you go in and get an X-ray, and then you get treatment, and then months and months and months down the road, you get another one, and then you have treatment again. But in this situation, Carl, at every chance he got, would make sure that he would schedule her for another X-ray so that he could see her.
Right.
So she was just getting X-ray after X-ray after X-ray after X-ray throughout the course of a whole year.
Yeah.
And like you said, tuberculosis was already a very horrible disease, and adding, radiation to that constantly.
Because it's a bacterial thing, right? Tuberculosis, TB.
It is bacterial. There's a viral version as well.
But if you take you'd be like supercharging these viruses like with it's like Spider-Man. You know what I mean? I don't
That's
the same thing as like viruses, right? It could have happened.
It's hard to say. I don't really know the effects of X-ray radiation on tuberculosis. Yeah. I imagine that like if you're already sick and then you're getting irradiated,
I wouldn't expect you to understand.
Good for you.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it would like cause the tuberculosis to mutate or.
Yeah, it's possible.
I would suspect if it was bacterial that it might actually help a little bit.
If you think about it, like gamma radiation caused the Hulk to change, and a radioactive spider caused a young teenage boy to like turn into a superhero.
Mm-hmm. And these are real things that happened.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're gonna make a clip. You're like, disclaimer. Nope. Spider-Man isn't real, kids. Sorry.
Yes, he was hulking out. Yeah, see, Aaron says here, yes, he was hulking out her TB. See?
Well, whatever the case, it did not help.
Yeah.
It did not help.
No.
She progressively got worse, and the tuberculosis did eventually overcome her, and she died on October 31st, 1931. Almost exactly a year when she came in. So obviously, Elena's family is devastated that their young daughter has died, but in Carl's mind, their grief did not compare to his own, because this was the love of his life and the person he was destined to be with, and he was supposed to save their life, and he was given this mission from an ancestor of old that would come to him, recurringly throughout his life. So he's just absolutely devastated.
Sure. I mean, just imagine, like, you had this dream and you thought, like, I'm supposed to protect this girl, I'm supposed to save her.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, as just a X-ray technician, I'm going to save her.
Yeah.
And then she's dead.
Yeah.
Because you kept giving her X-rays. I don't know if that's what it was. I don't know what it was. But you would think that would totally cause
it. Probably.
I don't think they were using.
It did not help.
He didn't give her like a lead like spaghetti strap shirt or anything as a gift. Nothing like that.
Yep. Well, probably not, because you have to actually you couldn't put a lead vest on because you'd have to see the lungs.
Yeah, so you're sending all that straight through your body.
Because they do that at the dentist. They'll give you a lead vest when they look at your teeth.
Yeah.
So that way
And Nancy says here, and then sparked a zombie apocalypse. That can happen. Mm-hmm. See, we're on the same page, man. They know what I'm talking about.
Well, so he's, totally devastated. So when the time comes to bury Elena, Carl goes to the family and he says, I want to set up this elaborate grave site for her. And he said, I want to build a mausoleum for her. And if you don't know what a mausoleum is, it's like, you see it in movies a lot. It's like you're in the cemetery and then there's this building.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like a shrine that houses a casket.
Yeah. It's like that local one that's like a dollhouse.
Yeah. It's usually reserved for like, people that are very well off or people that, the community pitches in and wants to honor this person's legacy kind of thing.
People allergic to dirt.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, they're dead, so it's probably fine.
Yeah, you don't break out.
So anyway, he builds this, he wants to build this mausoleum for her. And the family, again, they've been dealing with awkward Carl for a year now.
Sure. Like, imagine, because, he was just treating her, giving her the x-rays and stuff, and he's a little awkward trying to do this stuff, but then he's like, I'm going to build this mausoleum for your daughter.
So the family just kind of goes like, well, maybe we're missing something. Maybe they, became really good friends. Well, and obviously she was in there for treatment all the time, so maybe there's something we're missing here, so let's just let Carl do this.
Right.
It's not going to hurt anything. So they give Carl permission to get the mausoleum built and kind of take over the burial plans because he's like, please let me do this for her.
Are you going to build me one of those? I'll build you one.
Yeah. Yeah, I could build you one.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Mine's going to be kind of like this, but on the side instead of that sign there.
I was actually going to send you off like a king.
Yeah.
And shoot an arrow into you,
right?
So I don't really know if
that's still just you making it all about you, though. You're like,
if your
watch
body
my bow skills.
Gonna need to be, yeah, absolutely.
I'm
gonna invite everybody.
Yeah, your best friend's dead, but everybody watch me shoot my bow.
I'm sorry. What was that one? Sorry, we're gonna interrupt. What was that one show where the guy's and he keeps missing, and he's like, no, let me do it. Right. Let me do it.
I don't know.
It was like a Viking spoof show on Netflix or Hulu or one of those things. It was so funny. It was this guy and he's like, no, it's my dad, let me do it. And he just keeps missing. And the guy just floats off into the ocean.
Right. Steve here says, did you know that zombies don't walk with their arms outstretched? And it probably makes sense. I'd see them running. Anytime I imagine a zombie, I see them just running. Or money launderers need a place to store cash. Hey, that's a good idea for using mausoleums like that. You just go store your cash. So you say you fake your own death and then maybe you hide your money in there.
Aaron says the Norseman.
The Norseman. Yeah.
That might be right. Yeah,
I think that's it.
A show like that.
I think that's it. All right, back to the story. To the story.
So they let Carl do this, and so Carl, we had the photo. We already showed it. So Carl is just completely devastated, and he's there visiting her in the mausoleum every day.
Yeah.
After she dies, he's just there all the time, as often as he can, and he goes and kneels in front of her coffin and is just sobbing, breaking down, being like, I'm so sorry I couldn't save you, I was supposed to save you, please forgive me. And just weeks and weeks of this go by.
Right.
And then months and months of this go by. And years and years of this go by. He actually had a telephone installed in the mausoleum, and in hopes that he could pick it up and maybe her spirit would somehow reach out through the radio waves or something.
Sure,
and because he was just I have to have her forgive me. I'm so devastated. So, and he's there every day, all the time. And years go by. And finally, after 7 years, the family is like, we got to do something about Carl.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. So they approach Carl and they say, you're making her death all about you, and it's not about you. You're not her family. You knew her for barely a year. You know, this is our loss. She was our family. She's not your family. You need to cut this out. This is weird. This has gone on far too long. And Carl's like, no, I'm going to keep doing it. So they're like, well, we got to do something.
Right.
So what they realize is Elena's sister, Florinda, had the idea. She's like, what if we just get his key? Because he had a key to the mausoleum. And it's come to find out that like he actually had the only one.
Yeah, it's like the only key.
Because he had it built and he had the key.
Sure.
And they're like, so why don't we just like, we'll get the key from him and then, you know, he won't be able to go in there and we'll get the locks changed and, you know, Carl will go away, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, the family kind of gets together and goes, that's probably the best idea. What do we need to do? And Elena's sister, Florinda, is like, I know where he lives. I'll drive out there and I'll just go get the key from him. So one night she drives up and she finds his place, finds out where he lives, and Carl had this like really long driveway in his house.
Is this a picture
of
the driveway?
I don't think this is actually the driveway. This is a driveway in Key West, Florida.
It's a driveway that you just know.
Yeah.
You know.
But there are a lot of places like this in Key West where it's like they're kind of in the woods. And
smells like
it
swamp.
winds around, and she's kind of having a hard time finding the house because it's a very long, winding driveway, and it's at night.
Sure.
So finally, she comes up on the house. It's kind of tucked away behind some trees, but she sees that there's lights on. So she goes, well, he's probably home, and so she gets out of her car and then notices like all of the windows on the first floor are lit up. So she's like, he's definitely home. It's not like he left one light on. There's someone in there. And as she approaches the house, she actually sees Carl in the window. And Carl is dressed up in like a suit or a tuxedo.
Yeah.
He like looks very well dressed.
He is a count after all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was the one thing. There was a story, I guess, of like he wanted people to say that he was a count.
Yeah. I want to be a count.
just to throw that in there.
Count
like, this is also a part of who Carl is.
Yeah.
Anyway, but she also notices that there's someone in the house with him. And because not only is Carl dressed up, he's ballroom dancing with this woman that's in this like, you know, gussied up dress.
Right.
Like just ballroom, very fancy dress. And Florinda is, you know, like approaching the front steps to the front door. Oh, someone says, was there someone also playing organ? I don't know if I don't know if there's someone playing organ, but there was music playing. So Florinda's having second thought. She's like, he's on a date, and she's like, well, maybe this means he's moved on.
Right.
So Florinda's like kind of relieved, like, okay, Carl's no longer obsessed with my dead sister. He's moved on. He's on this date, and she's like, maybe I should just go home. And she's like, well, if he is over her, he won't mind giving me the key. And I already drove all the way out here. The place was kind of hard to find. It's late at night, and I don't want to ever come back here again.
Right.
You know, so she's like, I'm just going to go knock on the door. So she takes a deep breath and walks up to the door and knocks on the door. And all of a sudden, a couple seconds later, the music turns off. So she goes, okay, well, they heard me. They turned the music off. I'm probably ruining their evening. Crap, you know, but okay, fine, you know, like I'm just gonna get this over with. And she waits, and no one's coming to the door. So she knocks again, and no one's coming to the door. And it's as if the people that are inside are like holding their breath, like maybe she'll just go away if we pretend that we're not home.
Sure.
You know,
I've done that plenty of times.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've done that before too. You know,
Yeah.
But the thing is like, she saw him and this woman in there.
Right.
You know, so she knows that he's home. So she's knocking on the door. She's like, Carl, I know you're in there. I saw you in the window. Please come to the door. And there's still silence. Just now because now she's like pissed. because she knows he's in there. So she's banging on the door. Carl, come to the door. I need to talk to you about my sister. So then finally he hears like some shuffling. She hears some shuffling around and then hears footsteps coming up to the door. And she's like, okay, he's finally coming. So the door just kind of cracks open and it's Carl standing there. And he's like, what are you doing here? You know, and he was like kind of rude with her. And she's like, I need to talk to you about my sister. Can I please come inside? And he's like, no. And she's like, well, I saw that you were in there with someone. I'm sorry if you're on a date. Like, can you come outside? I just need to talk to you for a minute. And he's like, no, go away. And she's like, but Carl, and she's trying to continue the conversation, and he steps away from the door and slams the door in her face. But before he slams the door in her face, he kind of moved away from the crack of the door, and she saw who he was with, and saw like there was the woman that he was dancing with was sitting in a chair across the room, and she got a glimpse. And for whatever reason, whatever little glimpse she saw, she went, that's my sister.
Right.
She's just that quick moment, and I don't know if it was instinct or whatever, but she was like, that's my sister. My sister's in there with him. So like, obviously, she's freaking out, 'cause she's like, well, my sister's dead. You know?
Sure.
So anyway, she, kind of freaks out, and she's like, I just need to go to the police. So she leaves, gets in her car, drives to the police, and the police come back, and they knock on the door. And Carl, answers the door, and they're like, we need to see who's in there with you.
Yeah.
Because we got this, really weird report that someone that's, they're supposed to be dead. Like, we know they're dead, so, like, why is this person dancing with you? Like, what's going on? So he, like, lets them in and kind of realizes, like, okay, I'll let you in. All right, fine. They're not going to go away. It's the cops.
That's all I got.
And it is Elena. Elena is in there with him. But Elena has been dead for 7 years.
Whole years.
So
rotting.
This was
stinking up the place.
This was Elena's corpse.
Yeah.
And so, disclaimer. We're gonna show you the picture, but like, if this is too weird for you, like, hit pause or something, or fast forward.
You don't want to hit fast forward or pause. You want to look at this crazy, disturbing, nasty crap, man.
So what had happened is he had exhumed Elena's body from the grave, and what he explained was that 2 years after she died, because this is 7 years,
yes,
when they caught him, but 2 years after she died, he claimed that her voice answered the phone and said, Carl, I love you. I don't want to be in this mausoleum anymore. I want to come and live with you. So the next day, he went and got like one of those like child's wagons.
A real
like
wagon?
those little red wagons,
yeah.
And went and like broke into the coffin, got her body, and took her home. But she was like very, very badly decayed because she was dead for 2 years already. So he replaced her eyes with glass eyes. He cut off all her hair, and the hair that was still remaining, he made a wig out of.
Yeah.
And he also, it was like this kind of special wax he got, and kind of coated and air sealed the body with it to try to keep it from decaying more.
He also used like piano strings to connect the skeleton together to make sure it didn't
because her body was decaying and falling apart. So yeah, he actually got, like you said, piano wires stitched all through to keep her skeleton. And then after her, because obviously you can't stop decay.
Yeah.
So the body started kind of imploding, so he actually cut her open and stuffed her with like rags to give her this full figure.
And also a fun fact is that the vagina was reconstructed with a paper tube.
Yes.
So do with that information whatever you want with.
So let's just say after he had restored her to what he felt was her original beauty, he would basically spend all his time with her.
Yeah.
And he would, tell her about his day at work and tell her jokes, and they would laugh together.
Sure.
And cry together.
This was before they had real dolls.
And sleep with her.
Yeah.
Again.
Who knows? Right? I think that nothing was proven about necrophilia, but
I think he had admitted it.
Think about it. He didn't admit it.
Did he not admit it?
No, he didn't admit it. No.
Anyway, and then also he would spray her with perfume every day. And he would do her makeup. He would change her clothes. He would buy her jewelry. He would get her new dresses to dress her in. And again, perfume to kind of cover up the smell of decay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
if you guys want to see that again, let me know. I will move it off the screen.
There's a little bit more to this story as well.
Nancy here says, "Good God!"
Is one of the reasons for him doing this is he felt that he could still save her. So he was actually working on this really crazy apparatus, kind of like a rocket cannon type thing, because Carl...
It was an airship.
Yeah. Carl believed that if he was able to launch her into the stratosphere, the radiation from the sun was a lot more intense up there.
What was his obsession with radiation? Like, he's like, I'm going to irradiate you with this X-ray machine over and over and over, and then I can only save your dead corpse by sending it up and getting the other radiation.
Yeah.
Maybe he read a lot of Spider-Man.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why he thought this, but he was very sure that that's what he had to do.
Yeah.
But I don't want to...
That's elaborate.
I don't want to say sadly, but maybe unfortunately for him. Not unfortunately. He didn't get to launch her corpse into space.
Sadly, he wasn't able.
I'd be like, fortunately, he did not launch her into space. So let's say fortunately. Happily, he did not launch her into space. But he did get charged with wantonly and maliciously destroying a grave,
right?
And moving a body without legal authorization.
Aaron says ground control to Major Tom.
Yeah,
right. I think the paper tube would end up like falling out or something if you shot her in a cannon or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if those piano strings would hold up. She might make a tune though, like flapping around with the piano strings.
So
can you imagine that in your head?
Oh my god.
It's just
oh my god.
So Lisa says here, save her with his magic penis. What does that even mean?
Maybe. Well, because it seems like he was sleeping with her. So maybe he was like trying
that could have been another
to love her back to life.
Another effort. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so and this story it also gets a little more weird after this because
I'm gonna pull up this one pic. Okay, sorry, you can go ahead.
There's this thing called the statute of limitations, right? And statute of limitations mean if you commit a crime and you don't get caught for so long, they can't do anything about it. And the statute of limitations for grave robbing and moving a body without legal authorization is less than 7 years.
Yeah.
So the charges didn't stick, and they let him go.
Yeah, they let him go. They didn't charge him with anything, right?
Yeah. They arrested him and charged him in the moment, but then the judge was like, that was a long time. That was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Statute of limitations is 4 years or whatever it was at the time. So they let him go, and then Carl asks the judge if he can have her back.
Yeah.
And the judge is like, no, you may not.
This here is Mr. Carl Tanzler.
And the funny thing is, like, as crazy as Carl was, obviously he was like a little bit of a likable character socially, because most of the town didn't go, oh, there's this crazy grave robbing dude. They were like, that story's so sad.
Yeah, they sympathized with him.
That poor man.
They did.
Poor old man lost the love of his life and was just trying to bring her back because he was so devastated. And so this is the story of Carl Tanzler.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately for the family, the courts gave Elena's, or what was left of Elena, back to the family, and they buried her in Key West. And she's buried today somewhere in Key West in an unmarked
Yeah,
grave.
they made sure it was unmarked so it couldn't be messed with.
So that way Carl couldn't come back
Yeah.
and try to save her.
I mean, really though, that does look like a count. You know?
Yeah, he's very Count-like.
Like almost looks like a version of Count Olaf.
Yeah.
You know? I think I would.
It's
I think
very,
I would believe
very,
that.
very dapper. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think his voice would sound like?
I imagine he probably just had like, you know, I don't imagine a high pitched voice or a low pitched voice. I just
Right.
remember like a sweet old German man.
And,
German
and he's
accent.
always like yelling at children, like, you know, like,
Yeah.
run, children, get out of my way.
Yeah, you know,
my
but-
yard,
Yeah, but he's also like, you know.
full of children.
I imagine he's probably like, he'd also take the children and be like, this is my knee knocka, inky dinky doo. You know, he's like the sweet old German guy that's kind of silly.
But really, he's a necrophiliac.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't let your kids around that guy. If you see a guy that looks like this, you know, run. Also, this is one of my favorite pictures of Carl.
Yeah.
I love these shorts he has on, and just like his stature, he's standing there, just look at him. He's adorable. Look at him.
I don't know what stage, like when this photo was taken. I imagine.
I mean, he's
I mean,
old.
he always seems like he's always.
We were talking about this
he's always
before
crazy, Carl.
We were talking about this
you
before
know?
we started. You know, some of these guys, like, you know, German dudes, like they look old. Like when they're like this older pictures, like they're like 30, but like
Like,
in this picture he
37.
could be 37.
I will say that does kind of look like Florida.
Yeah,
That doesn't really look like
I would say that that's sand.
yeah. So obviously he's like has to at least be in his 40s.
Is that like a pool, like one of those like little like baby pools? Is that what that is?
Maybe that's what he made the wagon out of.
No, the real wet wagon. But yeah. Anyway, adorable picture.
So that's our story.
That's the
for
story,
today.
and we're sticking to it.
And
It's so bizarre.
It's such a weird story.
So bizarre.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, this like I had a dream, I had this vision about this lady, and then all of a sudden you see her. But I mean, they were like, what was their age difference, man? It was like insane, right?
Over 20 years.
Yeah, over 20 years. And then like,
I think he was 39 when he moved to.
I believe he was 50 something, and she was 19.
Well, she was 21.
21 when she came in?
when
Okay,
she
so
came
21.
in.
21.
And I think I saw that he was 39 when they were in 1926.
Yeah.
So that would have been about 2 years after. So he'd have been like 41. So he'd have been 20 years older.
About 20 years or so. Is he wearing Crocs? He might have been wearing Crocs. That might have been the first Crocs ever invented. And we might even be seeing here the inventor of the Crocs was Carl Tanzler.
Das Crocs.
Das Crocs.
Yeah.
So the whole thing. 53, Aaron says here.
53.
53.
Yeah, I think
That's what I thought. That's what was in my brain was 50 something.
I think. Well, I'm imagining like when they caught him. You know,
Yeah.
if he was in his 40s when she was alive,
Right.
And then 7 years later he's in his 50s. So yeah, that probably
Something
makes
like
sense.
that. Something like that. But anyway, if you guys have any more comments, be sure we'll get to them here in just a minute. But real quick, we'd like to remind all you guys that we have merch available over on storefrontier.com/Roshambeaux. All sizes are not guaranteed.
No, but they
not.
might be.
They might be.
It could be.
It could be. But there's we got tons of t-shirts. We've got tons of designs, different cuts, different styles, hoodies, long sleeves, V-necks, t-shirts. Go over there and check them out, man. We really love the quality that they're doing.
And they're not the long sleeve items are not going to be in stock for very long.
Yeah.
You got maybe another week or two, and then we're
Yeah.
going to put them away, and we're going to do something for summer.
Yeah, be on the lookout for a little bit of a sale going on the long sleeves in the coming week. So what do you think, man? What do you think about the story?
That's such a weird story.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you're kind of heartbroken for him, but at the same time you're like, ew.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? You're kind of like, I don't know if I sympathize with this dude.
Right.
You know? But I'm guessing, like, if you're, like, I want to know what's going on where it's like, he's traumatized by this dream, obviously, but it's like, but he's self-traumatized by it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
But I'm imagining there must have been like other things going on in his life to make him this, an obsessive type person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, obviously he was, ill.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Aaron says here that he was 53 when they met. That's what I thought.
53 when they met?
That's
Okay.
what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means he was a little older than that.
Yeah.
When they left.
Yeah. Lisa says here, oh, Florida, so many stories.
Yeah, right.
Of course it was Florida.
Of course it was Florida. Where else would this happen in the United States?
Alabama.
You can put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Jay says Alabama. I don't know, man. It had to, where else is it going to
Nancy says here that he looks like the Monopoly Man, which he kind of does look like the Monopoly Man, except he doesn't have the monocle. Let's see here. Aaron says, well, they did eventually return the body after she went on display for the public for a while. That's right.
I did see that.
They did put it on public display for a little bit.
Because it was such a big story. Everyone was
Yeah.
so curious.
It being such a big story, how could they not charge him with more than what he got?
Because that was the law at the time. That was those were the only laws that he broke.
Right.
Was destroying a grave and moving a body.
Yeah.
So.
And Lisa says here, for the public, or display for the public, so many questions. Right?
Well, and the funny thing about it too is legally speaking, he didn't really do anything differently than as for legal grounds as someone that goes and destroys a headstone.
Yeah.
Or someone that doesn't check the right box when they're moving a body, or their license expired because they work for the coroner's office.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So those charges probably weren't, felonies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway, so like I said, it's just really weird. You think shouldn't you throw the book at someone a little bit more than that?
Right.
It's so weird.
Lisa is asking here is if there is proof that he was having these dreams as a child. Sounds suspicious. Yeah, but he would always talk about them. Everyone around him knew of these dreams because he would actually say them.
And I think he admitted too, because I'm sure that Carl
we can't prove dreams.
I'm sure he had to rationalize it
Yeah.
To the police because he was arrested for it.
Sure.
So I'm sure that when the jig was up, he got some explaining to do.
Some explaining to do.
And maybe he made it all up. It's totally true. Maybe he didn't have any of these dreams, and he was just I need to come up with a really good story because this is weird and everyone caught me.
Yeah, I'm just not getting the ladies. All I have are these shorts and Crocs, and nobody's really checking me out.
Man, I feel like you get the lady with some boat shoes and some shorts, and he's wearing all white too and tan. Come on, he could have got the ladies.
No, probably not.
No.
It's a crazy story. Crazy story. We'd also like to remind everybody here about Patreon, man. If you guys enjoy stories like this, you guys are the reason why we're able to do these. Mm-hmm. You guys are the reason we're able to make the monthly cover videos for our stuff. If you didn't know when you're watching, we do make music. That's what we do.
Yeah.
On the normal.
That's our normal job.
That's the normal music. That's the normal gig. But even for as little as $1, man, it goes a long way. We get weekly shout outs in the blogs that we release, early access to merch and music, and the $5 you get to put in a request for the cover songs that we do every month, which we just released a brand new one, and I'm really pumped about it.
It sounds so good.
So good.
Yeah.
You can watch the trailer here on YouTube. We did a version of I'm Afraid of Americans by David Bowie. Mm-hmm. And there's something in there for everybody. So please go check out patreon.com/Roshambeaux.
It helps us so much.
Do it.
And it'll help you too, because there's cool stuff in there.
Yeah. But that's going to do it for us, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for being here in the comments. We really enjoyed everybody joining in on the conversation with us today. If you want to hear more weird shows or weird stories and conversations like this, tune in every Thursday. We're going to be here.
And hit the little subscribe button. That's right here.
Down there.
Down there.
There's one right there. But yeah, make sure you subscribe, click the like button, share it around, tell your friends, tell your mom, give her a call. Tell her, say,
she misses you.
There's these weird stories about necrophilia on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Call her up, say, Mom, well, go watch that.
And let us know, especially if you're on Patreon, let us know what you want to hear next. Because we always listen to Patreon first.
Yeah.
But we will listen to you here on YouTube as well.
Even if you're not on there, we love you guys anyway. Yeah. Comment below, let us know what you guys want to hear. And if you're over in the Rosham fam, go do that as well.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for us, you guys. We love you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Till next time. Bye.